It's good to go?
Yeah.
All right.
Are you guys good to go? You guys are the
We're always
stars. Not me. I'm just the guest.
If you're always prepared, you never have to get ready.
That is true. That is true. So yeah, man, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you giving us your time, and I know you're a super busy guy, so.
I know you guys are too. This podcast is blown up, so I'm honored to make the list finally. So
Yeah, thank you for being on here.
Yeah, you've been on the list. We just finally got time to reach out to you to set it up.
Good.
Yeah, we have a list of like 50 people that we've been wanting to have on the podcast, and we're kind of slowly working our way through it.
So you've got a good, you've had some, Ryan G, you've got some people like on the contracting side, from the agent side, the attorney side, Gunderson last week. So, there's some cool.
We're trying to cover as much as possible.
Yeah.
And, try to venture in some other businesses that are not, real estate related. We've had Ricardo who does custom clothing and stuff like that. So
nice.
But yeah, man, thank you for being on here. And for those people who are not familiar with who you are, could you tell us who you are and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Nick Libert. I'm the owner of Exit Strategy Realty here in Chicago with 2 branches in Northwest Indiana and Southwest Michigan. I've been a real estate agent for 20 years. This is all I've ever done in my adult life. I've got a little side company called Nick Libert Development, flipping homes, doing some buy and holds as well.
Nice.
Always been in the industry as a student of the business, as hopefully a coach to some other people as well. And I'm excited to share with you guys what we're doing and maybe some dumb things I've done wrong, some mistakes I've made over the years, and some stuff that we've learned works well.
Those are necessary, man.
Yeah.
They just come with the business, right?
Yeah.
You don't get to success without making some mistakes along the way.
Sometimes a few. Yeah.
So you didn't do anything else before this?
What do you mean? This is all I've ever done. So in high school, I worked retail and I mowed lawns. I had a little lawn mowing business and a deck sealing business, and that was it. So I was always kind of an entrepreneur, but real estate I started in college. My mom and grandpa had some investment property, so they always taught me about the value of real estate, but they were never on the brokerage side. They were never big time real estate people. That was just always something that, my grandpa was a doctor, and on the side he'd own pieces of real estate. My mom, she had a business, but on the side she always owned real estate. So it was taught to us at a young age that real estate was an important asset. But I saw this lady come and list my mom's house for sale. And the lady rolls up in a big Cadillac and it's got a nice coat on. I'm like, okay, wow, that lady must make a lot of money. And about 3 weeks later, the lady drove back by again, took down the lockbox, put a sold sign up. And my mom goes, do you want to come to the closing with me? I'm like, yeah, sure. So go to the closing, look at the lady's check, and I go, wow, that lady did not that much. And she got that big check and she got that big Cadillac. I want to be a real estate agent. Well, little did I know what actually real estate agent I think a lot of people have that impression. They see, some nice suits and some nice cars that are probably, mortgaged to the hilt or, a lot of credit and leverage, but you don't see that, there is a lot of agents that work very hard that don't make it. And there's a lot of people that do stuff wrong and don't get where they want to be in the business. So I think it's important that people understand that real estate can be an amazing future. It can be an amazing career. But I always tell people there's no ceiling to real estate. You can make millions of dollars. You can also make zero. There's a very concrete floor. So.
Yeah, I think when we had Frank Montre was saying it's one of those careers that you could work 80 to 100 hours a week and still make no money.
Make no money. Yeah. and I don't know anybody that makes, we had the Chicago Association of Realtors Sales Awards last night, and I was lucky enough to MC it. I know a lot of the people that won awards. These are not lazy people. These are not lucky people. These are people that work their butts off. And I think there's that impression of, they just buy Zillow leads. Well, you still have to service the leads, or they just know a lot of people. You had to work to build those relationships to know a lot of people and to maintain those relationships. So there is no easy street in real estate. I've tried it. That's a very broke street, actually. So, it is all at the end of the day hard work still.
Now, to go back to the beginning, what brokerage did you originally go with?
So I originally was with Coldwell Banker,
okay.
And I had a really wonderful experience.
Was it here in Chicago?
It was not. It was in Indiana. So I'm from Elkhart, Indiana, and I was with Coldwell Banker there. And I had a wonderful managing broker. She made it seem like family for us. And so I started out in the business. I looked at an ad in the paper that said, get your real estate license. Okay, well, I wanted to do that, and that was the place I went. And so like a lot of people, where I sat in the classes ended up being where I parked my license. There's still no guide to the industry on the way in for a new agent. So a lot of new agents don't know what to ask. And still a lot of people think that, okay, well, it's the company that's going to make your business. So I'm like, okay, well, Coldwell Banker, I saw the signs everywhere. At that point, it was number 2, I think, in the country. And so I went there. But the coolest thing happened to me was that I sat in a room along with a couple ladies that had been there a while. And these ladies would like go outside, smoke, complain about the company, come back in, oh, phone's not ringing. And I'm like, phone isn't ringing. Is it, are they unplugged? What's going on in here? Now there's a lady down the hallway. Phone is not ringing. She's picking up. She's dialing out. And she's got personal notes, and she's going to every kid's basketball game and charity events. I mean, she's like, it feels like she's mayor of the town. She's got her name badge on everywhere. Everybody knew her. And I'm like, maybe the phones aren't supposed to ring. Maybe you're supposed to make them ring. And sure enough, those 2 ladies that were in the same cube area as me were gone in 6 months. They were out of the business. The lady down the hallway got a bigger office. I'm like, okay, I think I'm going to do what she does. And that's how I got my start. Was I was lucky enough to just be in an environment where I figured out quickly it had nothing to do with the company name. You know, Coldwell Banker, Remax, Exit, KW, I don't care where you are. The company's not going to give you the deals. You know, they may have a deal or 2 for you once in a while that's dessert. You are going to be cooking your own dinner. And that was the best thing that could have ever happened to me, was sitting there watching those ladies kind of exit the business because they thought the company was going to bring them the business, that the company was going to make people want to work with them. It's you.
That's a good example of what not to do.
Yeah.
Right.
That really was. And so that's how I got my start. And I figured out, I did an Excel spreadsheet. And I'm kind of like a visual guy, so spreadsheets, and you guys saw my office. I've got marker boards up, and vision boards, and all that kind of stuff. And I realized I sourced my deals. I'm like, wow, wait a second. I've been here 2-something years, and none of these deals came because I was at Coldwell Banker. And I don't think if I leave Coldwell Banker, or any company for that matter, that my clients are going to matter, that this relationship was built with me. Yeah. So that was how I got, my start as far as what I thought of the brands was. I'm like, okay, I don't think it's about the brand. I think it's about what you have to go out and do. So that kind of shaped my start in the business.
How'd you get your first deal?
My first deal actually was an expired listing.
Okay.
So I went out, I had a little script, and I did a direct mail piece to expired listings, which I literally still use the same piece. It's just been reworked over the last 2 decades. But it was an expired listing. I got a FSBO after that. So that was, at the beginning, nobody knew me. I was 20 years old.
Right.
So I was sending out letters, knocking on doors in my neighborhood. I bought a condo as my first place. So I marketed and farmed to that neighborhood. Now they call it geo-targeting, but farming to your own neighborhood. Hey, I'm your neighbor. I'm in real estate. Use me. And the next thing you know, I was kind of off and running. And I started to get calls off of my ads about that listing. So I figured out, okay, it's great to have buyers, but it's also amazing to have listings. And listings kind of make the entire business run. So I would convert those buyers, not necessarily to sell that listing, but to buy a listing through me or something. And I realized the power that you can do 2, 3, 4 deals off of a properly marketed listing versus buyers. You drive them around, they buy one thing.
Right.
Unless you're really working the referral side of it and make people understand how your business works. And then you're getting a lot of referrals from that buyer too.
Interesting. How did you end up at Exit?
So I was with Coldwell Banker for 3 years, left them, started my own company. And at that point, a lot of the industry was you either were at a big brand, or once you started to really make money and you kind of were mad that you were paying all this money into this place and that they weren't building your business for you. You were building your own. You're like, well, why don't I just start my own thing? So there was the dependent models, I call it, the Coldwell, C21s, those guys. And then a lot of people would go out and start their own company because that was the thing is, okay, I don't want to pay a split anymore. I want to keep 100% of the commission. Where do I go? So we go out and do our own thing. And so I actually started my own company. I called it very creatively Nick Libert Properties. So I had a sign with my name on it, giant. And
that was in Indiana or Chicago?
That was in Indiana. And then I also opened up in Michigan. And then I eventually opened up in Chicago. So I was a 3-state operation for a time, independent. I kind of got the itch to move to the big city. And I'd been doing really good in my hometown, and I was starting to do stuff in Michigan, and I started coming up here more and more. And the first deal I closed up here was only like $200,000, but in my hometown that buys a mansion. Yeah. And here, bought a little condo. I'm like, wait a second, there's a lot of money here. Wait a second, there's a lot of fun here. Okay, I'm out of there. And so I ended up moving to the city full time, focused my business in Illinois. So I was actually right down the street from where we are now. Ironically, I just have the weirdest timing. Sometimes it's terrible timing, but it ends up working out in the end later. I ended up in this little building on the corner of Milwaukee North and Damon, that 12-story. Now it's the Roby, this beautiful fancy hotel. Well, at that time it was an office building, not exactly an A-grade office building either. And I had a little suite in there. And so it was me, and I ended up hiring, I think we ended up having 9 or 10 agents. And that was kind of when, you know, my first wake-up call was when I was at Coldwell Banker, and I opened up that Excel spreadsheet and tracked all my deals and realized, wait, these deals aren't coming from Coldwell or any other. They're not going to come from a company. These are coming from me. Yeah. I think this business is about what you put into it, not about the brand. The second wake-up call was when I had left that brand, did my own thing. I'm rocking it, keeping 100% of my commission, but the guys that I started hiring working for me did terrible. They were not doing good at all. I'm like, okay, what's going on here that I'm doing great? You know, they're not. It's not trickling down. What's going on here? I'm like, okay, well, maybe there was something to that idea that there's systems and tools and training in the franchise model. I'm like, oh, great. Well, I'm not going back to where it came from. You know, where is there a type of operation that's not dependent, but it's not independent? Is there an interdependent model? So I went through almost every single franchise presentation. I still have some of them collecting dust. And eventually I was approached by Keller Williams. Went there in 2005. They gave me a 6-figure salary to come in there and be a managing broker, do what I was doing with my own little company, and do it on a much bigger scale for them. So I managed an office for them, grew it from 30-something agents to over 140. Nice. Won some awards with them. Had a great time. Wasn't exactly the fit that I was looking for, though. I really started to feel like I needed to get into a model that was going to reward me pretty much instant gratification for mentoring, growing the company. And that's when I found Exit and the Exit residual model. And that was 2008. I left my independent brokerage or merged it into Keller Williams on my 27th birthday. I left them for Exit on my 30th birthday. So next week's my 40th birthday. I will be here a decade. So over half my real estate career has been with Exit, and I absolutely love it. We went from being one of the smallest offices in the franchise system of 500, 600 offices to now we're the number one largest, most productive in America. So
first off, happy early birthday, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congrats for being number one.
Yeah, Thank you.
Yeah, that's out of how many offices?
That's out of almost 600 offices.
Wow.
So there's a lot, you know, it's a big brand. It's not the biggest by any means, but it's in the top 10, and it's, I've had that on my vision board. I'm a big person into vision boards and future plans and business plans, and that's been on there for a while. I did not think this was going to be the year for that. This was a surprise to get there early. We knew we were on our way, but now I want to do this year $250 million in sales. I'd like to eventually get this to be more of a 500 agent, $500 billion dollar company.
Where are you at now as far as agents?
We are at about 190 in Illinois, and then we've got about a half dozen in Indiana and a few in Michigan. So the little satellite offices, those are going to be really key down the road, because we know some people are moving out of Cook County. Right. Cook County has had a lot of knocks against it. I love Chicago. I love Cook County, but there's some issues there. And some people don't want to pay the property taxes. They want great schools, right in their backyard. And they're right over across the borders, Northwest Indiana. I went to undergrad and law school in Valparaiso. I know the quality of life over there is excellent. So some investors are moving money over there. So we wanted to capture that. In the meantime, I'm doing a lot of business for my clients in Southwest Michigan, because a lot of people, they love the city life, but they want to get away.
And
they want
a
vacation. It's not, it's an hour and a half to New Buffalo, which is one of the coolest little towns out there. So that's where my other satellite office is. That's my little baby over there.
Nice.
And I can go over there, hour and a half drive, watch some of the most magical sunsets on earth, get a fantastic meal, and then take the train to drive home. So it's a cool town. And so that market, especially now that there's Airbnb and vacation, VRBO, those two have totally changed the game, where it's not just, okay, I've got so much money I can go buy a house and let it sit half the year.
Yeah.
Now I've got money to put into an investment property that when I'm not using it, I'm going to rent it out and have some other people enjoy it. And it's kind of becoming a cottage industry for me and for some other agents too.
I mean, from what we've experienced doing Airbnb and a rental that we have, we make more money doing Airbnb in the summer in Chicago than we did just renting it out to regular tenants.
I've got a client. I've got a couple different clients right now that are. One of the deals I did was these guys said, hey, you know what? We love Chicago. We come here a lot. We're tired of paying the hotel prices, but we want to come in here, and when we don't use it, we want to Airbnb it. And I said, well, what do you want? Buy a multi-unit, single family? Like, no, we want a condo. I said, well, condo buildings hate Airbnb. It's just not, everybody's trying to ban Airbnb. I'm on my condo board. We're banning it. Everybody's banning the stuff. However, there are some little 2 and 3 unit, 4 unit condo associations that either for one reason or another, they've already got somebody doing it, so they've written in the rules, or they'll allow you to do it. If so, I wrote it into a deal for a client. I said, this is a small building. I had a really cooperative seller's agent. And I said, look, we want this property. We're going to pay a good price for it. But we want the condo association to rewrite the laws to specifically allow Airbnb. And the lady's like, what? We're not doing that. And I'm like, go present the offer. And then she did. And guess what? We got the unit. Nice. They voted, condo association voted for it. And my clients have a wonderful investment property.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah. Another one, it was a friend of mine that bought a beautiful single family home in Lakeview. And situation changed at his job. And all of a sudden, he's traveling a lot for work, and he goes, I'm going to put this on Airbnb. And I'm like, you're going to be kidding me. This is one of the nicest places I've ever sold. Just gorgeous multi-million-dollar home. And they're going to tear that thing up. Has never had an issue. He was on the cover of the Airbnb magazine and makes a wonderful return on his investment. And there. So Airbnb is changing the game for a lot of different condo owners, single-family homeowners. As long as you're playing by the rules as a condo owner, It's great. For the single-family homeowners, as long as your community allows it, you can do wonderful with it.
As far as monthly renters, a lot of people think Airbnb is worse because they might come in and have parties, whatever. But they're actually better than monthly renters because you get to see it every week because you're cleaning up after them. They're not bringing a lot of stuff in there because they're traveling. They're out most of the day. Monthly renters are in there for months, years. You're not seeing it. Sometimes things break down. They don't tell you about it.
Or sometimes there's 10 people living inside. And
one
in the storage unit, which we've had. One time we walked into one of the storage area. There was a mattress on the floor. I'm like,
wow.
Where did this guy come from?
Creative living.
Depending on the price point of it. But yeah, that's a cool thing too. Luxury Airbnb rentals. Especially, people who travel a lot that, can afford those type of houses at home a lot, helps to bring in extra income that they wouldn't normally get.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that for the most part, keeps it fairly sane is that, you're rated on Airbnb. I have an Airbnb rating. Somehow, knock on, I think this is wood, it's still fairly decent. But, that is, if you want to continue to rent places on Airbnb, it's kind of like Uber. You've got to be nice to your Uber driver, and he's got to be nice to you because everybody's getting a rating. Right. So that's, I think, how we've kind of made sure that Airbnb is not a complete mess. And like anything else, I have had, as a landlord, I had a really great knack for getting terrible tenants and either being too nice to them or just flipping out on them. I just was not the best landlord. So that, anybody can get a bad Airbnb guest, but it's how you handle it. It's how you talk to your neighbors. So it's all an issue of respect. Yeah. And I think that most of us at this point understand that, there's social media, there's ratings for almost everything. Everybody's got to kind of respect each other a little bit more than they used to.
There's no ratings on Craigslist, that's for sure.
Well, if you're looking for tenants on Craigslist, yeah. Right. But to kind of go back to, you were talking about that you do vision board and you do goals and all that. What does that process look like for you?
Well, there's a couple different things, and I've got a LinkedIn blog and a YouTube channel that I hope people will look at, subscribe to. LinkedIn and YouTube both. I talk about this a lot. I'm big into structure. If you let me go, this is a society filled with AD&D, myself included at this point. There are so many ways to get off track, and this is an entrepreneur's profits over wages. This is an entrepreneur's podcast. It is tough being an entrepreneur and staying on top of your game. So
that's true.
One of the things that I do is I say at the beginning, you got to have a business plan. And I don't, it's not one of these things. A lot of, especially in real estate, I see these business plans where, I want to make $100,000 this year. So I've got to have this number of deals and this number, and each deal is going to be XYZ dollar amount. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. That you're going to get some lead generation system, or all your friends are going to buy the same price condo. That is an interesting concept. That's not a business plan. That's an economic plan, and that doesn't work. What I do is, first off, I say, okay, where am I going to get my business from? Where's my database? Where's my prospecting? Where are my people? And then the second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to then structure that by the week to figure out, where do I need to market? Who do I need to market to? Everything needs to be systematized. I use a time block calendar, so I know where I'm going to be most days, and in theory, it should be 5 days out of the week. Some days that doesn't always happen, but if you can control at least 3 to 5 days of your week to give yourself 2 hours a day of prospecting, no matter what business you're in, you're going to be golden. And that's really what we focus on at our office, is trying to give our agents that structure. But all of that can be monotonous. So a vision board is like, okay, all of this day-to-day stuff that I'm asking my realtors, our agents to do, they need a long-term vision. And what is that vision? What I'm really trying to show our agents is that it's not just about the volume. Sales awards last night, I love it. 50 million this, 100 million that. I'm like, okay, well, what did you take home? What did you really take home at the end of the day? How many people were lumped into that 100 million? How much did you spend on advertising? So we have some frank conversations in here about, what are you really taking home after taxes, after insurance, after that fancy car that you're, leveraged on? What are you taking home? And then what are you turning around and reinvesting into real estate? If you're talking as a realtor about real estate to your clients, oh, it's such a great investment. What are you investing in?
Right. If you have no rental properties.
If you have no rental properties, maybe you don't even own your own home. That I really want to get into that because, as an industry, that we have some of the worst practices of savings, of taking care of our own health, of any other industry I know, where there's a great car out front, house isn't mine, I'm not, paid off on anything. A lot of these agents have IRS debt. It really is a concerning thing to me that we're setting people up for no retirement, for working till the day they die. And it's sad because it is an industry where you can make a lot of money, but you can also make a lot of dumb financial decisions. I've made several of them. So that we're trying to prevent that from happening for other people. And that's something that I think with the exit model, I've really appreciated is it's not just about the sales, help the company grow, get some bonuses out of that, put that bonus away, don't spend it, and invest it in real estate or something else that's going to help you retire.
Because you just started investing, right? Like on some of your own flips?
Yeah. So I've done some flips over the years that I would say were easy flips, like condos, single family homes that just need to paint or carpet, stuff like that.
Those are the best. They're my favorite.
Those are easy. But so then, and I got into being a landlord, and the thing is, everything's got to have a system. And when I've done systems in my real estate business for sales, and that has worked. And I'm like, okay, this stuff worked out really good. I started to see, we as an office represented some really cool bungalow flips. And I'm like, these things are turning out amazing because it's taking a beautiful part of Chicago and yet modernizing it so a true modern family can move in there and love it instead of having to buy new construction in a neighborhood they don't necessarily, want to be in. So I'm like, okay, I want to get in on this. This is really cool. Did not get in with the right people at the beginning. Did not pay attention to what I was doing or what I was investing in. I just was totally like checked out on the process. I was one of these like, oh, I'm just going to be a silent investor. Well, I got silently screwed. So, but it was a great learning experience for me in the end because, I learned how to put what has been very successful with this brokerage business into play into another business. Okay, now I have a business plan. Now I'm time blocked to see my projects, to communicate with my contractors, to the other people involved, with the neighbors, with everybody. And I'm like, oh, okay, wow, I can run another related business in the industry by doing what I did in this business successfully. So that we're trying to get our investors to see that, handwriting on the wall too, that there's a lot of not so clean characters out there saying that they're going to do this for you or that for you. And if you're not keeping your eye on the ball and you're trusting people to do something, a lot of them are just taking your money and running. I'm starting to see more and more really awful things online where, somebody paid somebody $10,000 to do this or $20,000 to do that. And, nothing got done or it all got done wrong. The city inspectors are not there to protect you. They're there to give a stamp. Nothing, no disrespect to those guys, but it is not necessarily saying that is quality work.
Yeah. I was talking to to this guy yesterday. I won't mention any names, but he was telling me about his first deal ever, right? He met this guy who pitched to him to be his mentor, but the guy wouldn't bring anything to the table. So the guy that I was talking to, he brought the money, he brought the money, he brought the deal, he was managing the contractors, he was doing everything. But the other guy, the only thing he was bringing was his 20 years of experience, right? And they would split the profit 50-50.
Yeah.
Really?
Listen to this. He went and the mentor went and sold his stake on the deal for $20,000 to some random person and then just walked away.
Wow.
And apparently he did that with like 20 or 30 people. It's just like the strangest thing I've ever heard.
You got to tell me who it is later.
Yeah.
Yeah. If this was wine in our cups, we might have a much more interesting conversation with names.
I have never heard of that before, but that sounds like crazy
like literally
scam.
you would just get in deals with people and say, I'll mentor you for half the profit with not doing anything.
Mm-hmm. And then sell his stake on the deal for $20,000.
And then the people would just lose money on those deals or what?
I don't know, but it was the craziest shit I've ever heard. I was like, what the hell? What's going on?
There's some really sad stories out there of people that have, put their life savings or a substantial amount of their income into one of these joint ventures, JV partnerships, and gotten, just their life handed to them, where they're having to change jobs, give properties back to the lender. Really, really sad stuff. I was in really dire financial straits with my development projects, but luckily this brokerage business was strong enough to know, okay, I'm going to just bite the bullet and put money over there and salvage these projects and do a good job. But not everybody is that liquid.
Right.
It's a lot of people that put their life savings into some of these projects, and I won't name names either, but I'm like, oh my God, this, why is this person not in jail?
I'm gonna give some advice to our listeners right now, because we do a lot of private. We have private lenders and joint ventures and a lot of creative financing. The biggest difference I would say is like somebody who's a private lender. It's like if you're lending your life savings, whatever 20, 50, 100,000. Don't do a JV that way first. Like say let someone prove themselves. Lend them the money on like an interest rate just for like the down payment or holding costs. And then see how they do with that project and work your way up to being a JV partner. And the only people who should really be JV partners are people that have a lot more, like it's not their life savings, like they can afford to lose it.
If
not
you lose
that
those
anybody,
$50,000, it doesn't put you in a dire situation.
Well, the other thing you've got to realize is that there's carrying costs. I don't think that everybody does the math. I didn't exactly do the math, right? Where I'm like, oh, okay, this project's going to take 3 months. That's what the contractor told me. Well, how often have we all heard that?
They always say 6 weeks, and then it'll be 6 months or 18 months.
That's a miracle. Here I am like a year later. I'm like, wow, it's spring again, and I still got this property. Great. It happens, and it's no slam on one part of the business over another, but I think that everybody, the more that they hear stories of people like me, of some other people that got into these things and didn't really know what they were doing and didn't have the right people around them, you've got to be present at your projects. You've got to show up. You've got to, be present. And a lot of the JV agreements, the whole thing is like, oh, I don't have the time to be there, but I've got this money and I'm just going to give it to this person and everything's going to turn out all right. It's not. That's your horror story is one of several I've heard and I've seen firsthand.
Yeah. Not to kind of get out of the sour topic, the goal planning that you do, it sounds it's very similar to the 12-week year. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
No, tell me about the 12-week year.
It's pretty much exactly what you're talking about. Doing, breaking your goals into what you think you could achieve in a year. Then break them down into like weeks, and then break them down into like day-by-day activities.
Yes.
And doing time blocking and all that. I don't know. I just read the book, and I think you just read it. So.
Yeah, basically, instead of putting your annual goals into like a 12-month block, you're putting them into a 3-month block because they're so near you that they're not. You can't push them off, right? So there's something that's like attainable, and then you can basically able to condense your goals and do a lot more in 1 year than someone else could.
That's what I use. The form that I use is called 411, and it's used by people in all different industries. It's your yearly goals broken down for the month and then into your weekly, almost like a task list, even though they say it's not supposed to. It ends up looking like a task list for the week. And if you can, pass that around to a spouse, a couple other people at work, we actually meet here at Exit Strategy every Tuesday at 10 a.m. to do 411 as a group. So it's like, okay, here's what I wanted. Here's what I said I was going to do. And here's where I'm really at. And, we do it for your job, your business, your personal finance, and your personal. Because, again, we're really trying to get you going in all areas. And what we found is that if you can go back to that business plan at least once a month, your capability of actually finishing that business plan for the year is so much greater. I've never seen a business plan in nearly 20 years of doing this that was terrible. I've seen some business plans that, okay, go back and fix a couple things. But I've seen the intent is so good, so on point at the beginning. And that's like December, January. You come around to March, I'm like, where's that business plan? It's in the bottom of your drawer along with a Milky Way bar or something. So that's what we're telling our agents to do is, in any industry, go back to that business plan once a month. Put it in your calendar now. Say, okay, the 5th of every month, you're going to know what you did the month before. We tell our agents to do a profit and loss statement. Go back and look at that. Okay, wow, I made money. I didn't make money. What happened? What was good? How did I get my deals? What didn't work? And, there's that business plan again. Because I can guarantee you, last year I did 3 things on my business plan really, really good. I did not even touch one area on my business plan. I'm like, well, I didn't do this at all. And every time I can take it back, I'm like, oh, there's too much. So you've got to be realistic with yourself, but you've also got to be accountable to yourself by bringing that back out. And
how did you hear about this? What is it? 411?
411.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I read it in there's been a couple different books. We do a book club in here, and I think a lot of successful entrepreneurs, they're students of other people. I look at some people in the real estate industry, Steve Morris from our company, Gary Keller from KW, Dave Leininger from Remax. These guys were innovators. So I want to hear what these guys have done. And from other industries, what have these guys done? You had Ryan G on from the Rehab Depot. That guy, how many flips has that guy done over the years? Hundreds of flips.
Right.
He probably knows more about flipping than me. There's everybody that's ever achieved anything. You look at some of these Olympic athletes, listen to what they do. They time block for this. They study that. There is replication in the success strategies of people no matter what industry or brand they're from. So that's kind of what I'm always looking for. And that it was funny to go into a new segment of my own industry. I'm like, oh, I know a lot about real estate, so I'm going to be a great flipper. But then not implement any of the success strategies that I knew worked over here. Why wouldn't I implement them? I don't know what I was thinking. And so that's what we're trying to educate people, that there are some basic things, success leaves clues, basic things that you can do in any industry. And that's why I love the idea of your guys' podcast, and some of the people you've had on, I really think are
we're coming close to, not coming close to, but there's a lot of things that correlate between each guest that we have, right? Obviously, everybody's different. We always ask people if you have a morning routine, because you always see, like, I don't know why my microphone keeps going that way. But you always see that, successful people have a certain morning routine, and in your mind, you're always thinking like, oh, I must do that. But if that's not you, that's just not going to work for you. Like, for example, Matt is not like a 5 a.m. type of person.
I'm like a 2 a.m. person.
Right. Like, he stays up late. Yeah. Waking up at 5 a.m. and having an early morning routine is just not going to work for him, because that's not how he is. So what we're noticing is that a lot of these things work, but you got to sort of make them adjustable to your personality and how you work and how you feel more productive. If you're a morning person, then wake up at 5:30 or wake up at 5 a.m. If you wake up at 10 or 9, whatever, that, adjust all these things that successful people do to like the way that you are, right?
You've got to adapt it the way you are, but I'm not going to challenge that as much as I'm going to say, I'll tell you, I went from an evening person to a morning person, kind of by accident. Yeah. I really just kind of realized what was happening to me, at least in the real estate sales business and almost any sales business. Your clients are out with you at night. And if you open up your day by checking your email, there we go. We're already starting to put out fires. We're already starting to deal with some deals that are already on the table. When do you ever make time to actually lead generate for new business? So that's why real estate agents go from deal to deal. Oh my gosh, I'm so busy. Are you busy on new business, or are you busy on the business you're already in? And so that's what I really realized when the market crashed. 2005, 6, 7, anybody could sell a house.
Yeah.
2008, 9, 10, nobody was selling a house. There were only a few people really doing it. And that's when I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to get up and go to the gym before. And this is ridiculous. This is actually how it really all started, was that I'm like, okay, I can't afford the parking to go to the gym after 9 a.m. I'm going to go early. And I would go at like 6:30, 7 in the morning. And something clicked to me. Then I'm like, wait a second, no one's bothering me. I'm actually getting a real workout in. And I would start emailing our agents. I do, okay, I'm on the treadmill. This is what I'm thinking about for you guys today. And that became my morning message. And all of a sudden, other agents started, waking up and starting to talk to their clients that early. And it was like, this was in books. This is all over the place. Wake up early, get your workout in, get your lead generation. This is not new stuff. I didn't create it. But it worked for me. And I'm like, okay, this is what we're going to do. So for what I tell our agents is, if at all possible, force yourself for 2 weeks to be a morning person and watch what's going to change in your business. Because what's going to happen is, I get up, you can't get to me during my workout. You can't get to me during those first hour and a half of lead generation, because you're not at your desk yet. Right. Nobody else is out there to really mess with you. Then at that point, let the drama start. Let the fires start to be put out. Get your little firefighter hat out, and because that's the reality of life. And so at that point, I've already done the two things most important. I've worked on my personal fitness. I've gotten endorphins going. I'm calm, and then I've got my lead generation in. I know I'm going to eat in 3 to 6 months out of what I did this morning. And then I can work on today's deals and actually have a better mind and a better mindset for my current clients, because I'm not so stressed. I'm not sitting there going, God, I got nothing in the pipeline. I've got some in the pipeline because I did it already this morning. Wow, I'm overweight. My blood pressure's up. No, I'm not, because I already worked out this morning. I'm working towards stuff. And it's if you do that, you will see as a entrepreneur such a shift because no one else is going to tell you to do it. We're all our own bosses here. And that's the danger of, kind of letting everything run wild. So I don't care what your time block calendar is, but I have seen success myself, and our agents have seen success with that morning routine. I don't care what time it starts in the morning, but if you can protect that time, whatever that clock says for that period, you'll rock it.
Let's take a shift, and because you've been through the entire gamut as like an agent, from being a brand new agent to being a successful agent to being a brand new managing broker to being like a very successful managing broker. So if you can kind of go through those like 4 phases, like what you've gone through, experience, and what have you learned, the difference between, seeing other people not be successful to like what you did to be successful, and then like advice that you can give to other agents at each one of those phases. I'm sure we have like, a full gamut of listeners at different phrases like that.
Absolutely. I'd say when you're a new agent, the first thing you've got to do is realize that this is up to you. Like I said earlier, it is not going to be about the brand. I would love to sit there and tell you Exit or XYZ, whatever real estate company is going to feed you. They're not. You are going to have to go out and build your own database. And that database is key. The people that are already around you, that believe in you, the people that you're going to meet. I never turned down a deal to this day. One of my favorite stories is I had a client that, this was probably 2006 or 7. Like, hey, I want to rent an apartment. Do you do rentals? I'm like, yes, I love rental. I'm like, yeah, I'll do a rental for you. What are you looking for? I'm looking for a studio in Lakeview for $900. I'm like, okay, so I'm going to make $400. But that was fine because I already knew at that point what the reality of the business is. That person that's running that studio today, this kid was fresh out of college. I don't know where you're going to go, and I don't know who you're going to meet that if I do a good job for you, you're going to introduce me to. You don't see billboards for me up. You don't see a lot of billboards for Exit Strategy up because we are word of mouth. We are referral based. If we do a good job, you're going to tell your friends, especially if I remind you that that's how I work. And by the way, what can I do for you? How can I build your business too? Because this is a brain trust of entrepreneurs and people building. So for a new agent, build that database up. That is your database. That is not the company's database. Don't wait on any company to build your brand. You are your brand.
Wait, what happened with the guy with the condo or the?
So that guy ended up. See, I told you I'm ADD. Everybody is. That guy turned around and ended up bought a condo through me eventually, but then bought a bigger condo, then bought a couple buildings through me, and has turned around and referred me. I don't even know how many. Probably $100,000 worth of gross commission income over the last decade. If I had turned him down to rent that studio apartment, I would probably never heard from him again. Why would you?
Right.
Oh, I'm too big for that. No, I'm not. I still will do a rental as long as I feel like this person is serious. I'll screen them a little bit.
Right.
But that, and people are like, I love seeing an agent, an agent that's, kind of been around a while but isn't doing that much, roll up and see me, get out of my truck, and they're like, hi. They're like, is this your brother or sister? Why are you with this rental client? I'm like, because this is my client, and I'm excited about this client. I'm excited about what they're going to do in the future and who they're going to introduce me to and what I'm going to be able to do for them. And that's what I would say to a new agent. Be open to all business. Maybe later you'll specialize, but I specialize in relationships as much as anything else. So that's for a new agent. For a new managing broker, or brokerage owner, this is the toughest part of the business. I tell my agents and anybody, I'm like, I make the majority of my money through selling a lot of real estate, and then through the exit system, coaching and recruiting people and building the residual bonuses. Brokerage is a tough business. The first 5 letters in it are broke. My mom reminded me of that for the first 5 years I was an owner. She remember the first 5 letters are broke. It's just a tough business because the agents are always looking for more, as they should. There's always new competition. Who I was talking about 3 years ago is not the competitors that I'm talking about today. And so that in that business, you have got to be so value oriented as a managing broker. It is not, again, it's not about the brand. It's about what you bring to the table, but you've got to be able to articulate the value proposition, and you've got to realize the agents really only have 2 issues. It's lead generation and team building. That's it. They either don't have enough leads, or if they're lucky enough to have too many leads, there's no such thing as too many leads, but if they have a significant number of leads and they're struggling with servicing those leads, it's time to build or grow their team. That's it. And that's what you as a managing broker are there for, to coach them through that. And if you can't do that, then get out of the chair. Because we have people come in here that I sit down with and I'm like, tell me about your business plan. I don't have one. What CRM product does your company provide you? I don't have one. How's your social media? I'm not on it. And I'm like, how are you in the business? Well, I'm pretty much not. The minute you look at their numbers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where is your managing broker? And I'll look the person up and I'm like, well, I've seen this person having cocktails at all the Board of Realtors parties. Maybe you should go back and train your agents a little more. It's sad because these people have put in $1,000, $2,000 to join this industry. Right. And, the statistics are not good. Your first year, it's not good at all. I don't want to give the statistic. The majority of agents don't make it past their first year.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is, oversaturation. Number one, there's a lot of agents, but number two, it's the responsibility of the brokerage to get them through that.
Now, let's talk about Exit, I guess. Let's kind of highlight Exit and how.
I would love to.
I don't know how, because I'm curious to talk about, the residual model. You were talking about how that, if you could kind of talk about how that works for people who are not familiar with it.
So Exit, we've been around for 20 years now. Our founder was pretty high up at Remax before he came to Exit. And, the Remax model at one point was 100%. Now it's still at the desk fee concept. And at that point in the industry, that was pretty darn innovative. You are at a traditional company, you pay in, and it never quits. Yeah. Exit came out and it was like, okay, number one, we want to cap how much you're ever going to have to pay in. So at my office of Exit, you start out at a 70 or maybe an 80% split if you're a top producer, whatever that is. You get a good split. We're going to cap you. So anything above $100,000 in gross commission income for the year, you keep, period. So that means the maximum, whatever you're going to have to pay in. But there's no desk fee. So if you don't have a good year, you're not sitting there writing me a check because I don't want to be a bill collector.
Right.
In the meantime, the other big component of that is this is a era in the business where, number one, we know nobody's got retirement savings. That we didn't train the agents how to save. And number two, it's now a team building era. This is the time of teams. And so I want my office to grow. I want my teams to grow. What's a great way to help our agents is to give them residual bonuses. So at Exit, if you introduce somebody to Exit, to any office, not just mine, but any Exit office, you get 10% of what they do, up to $10,000 a year per person. Could you do something with that? I know I could. Right. So when I came here in 2008, I actually brought someone with me that was on my team. They did a deal before me. And there was a $5,000 check. I got $500. And I'm like, I thought that was the cool. I'm like, I got 10% of this guy's stuff. And I don't own the company. At that point, I didn't own the office. I wasn't a manager. I wasn't anything with Exit. I was just a new agent there. And I'm like, this is great. Spread the word. Help the company grow. You get 10% of what other people do, and it comes out of the company's portion, not the agent. So my vision then with this office, what has helped us grow is I say, okay, guys, you come, you either build a team or you help me grow the company, put that 10%, those 10% residuals away, do something great with them. We've got people putting kids through school, helping fund charities, building their investment retirement, because at the end of the day, what I want those residual bonuses to do is I want you to have multiple income streams. I want you to have your real estate sales business. I want you to have your team or whatever the residual bonuses are, but then I want that money going towards your buy and hold properties, your flip properties, your real estate assets, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, so that you've got multiple income streams that are propelling you not only towards retirement, but an amazing lifestyle in the meantime.
Okay, interesting. Now, as a new agent, what do you get if you come to Exit? Like, what benefits does a new agent get from signing up?
So what we do with our office of Exit, and each office is independently owned and operated. Right. So our office, we really, really went, I think, above and beyond to make sure the agent had every single tool they needed from day one. Number one, you're going to get a really quality CRM product. So if you don't have a way to communicate and market yourself to your database, that is job one. So we have a great CRM product. We have a really nice front end website, a VOW IDX, so that they can search the MLS. They can, you can see on the back end what they're doing. You can do some nice online Facebook, Google pay-per-click advertising if you want to. Really nice front end website. You have .loop transaction management, the premium level of that, so that you can do your deals from anywhere. We do not want the agent sitting there living off paper anymore. That's ridiculous that some companies are still not providing their agents with that. All of this stuff is for free. We pay for your E&O insurance for the entire time you're at the company, for the life of you being here. We have a full-time graphic designer, full-time business manager that handles all the earnest money escrow payouts. Everything is paperless. You don't even have to come in with a check. You just scan the front and back of it to us and fill out an online form.
Nice.
Everything in here is meant to be making it easy for the agent. So from day one, you get all that. You're going to be in our coaching program so that you get that core philosophy. And literally one of the coaching programs we're a part of is called CORE. We do the Brian Buffini program so that you're going to get an agent that when you come here, whether you're brand new or whether you've been in the business for 5 or 10 years and you're just not working it right, now you're going to get where you're going to need to go, and that you're going to hear from me every day. You can't avoid me. You're stuck with me. That you're going to hear from me every day, because I wake up in the morning and go, what can I do to make my agents productive? Because the way that we run here, it's, I think, $345 a year to be a part of Exit. That goes straight to corporate. There has never been a fee at this office. You can sit there and run 1,000 copies, color copies that you lost your dog. I don't even have a copier code. My CPA hates me. He's like, you're nuts. And I'm like, hey, this is the thing. I don't want to be a bill collector. So I go out there, and the only time I make money is when our agents make money. In that first 100,000, anything above that first 100,000 GCI, they keep. So they have the potential here to earn over 100%. So from day one, you come in and you get this great package. You've got all this coaching. I find it to be one of the most lucrative out there. Obviously, I'm biased. I own the office. However, I'm always looking at what everybody else has. Right. It's like there's the online brokerages now. Okay, well that's nice, but then read the fine print. You've got to jump through hoops to really earn what you think you're going to earn, and plus, there's still a place for community in bricks and mortar. There's absolutely still a place for a central hub to come in and get information in person. But you've got to also have all the online tools so somebody doesn't have to drive in every day to be a part of this. So we have agents spread out, across 3 states. But really, especially across Chicagoland, that they're interacting with us and coaching with me on FaceTime and Skype daily, and interacting with each other without me daily. So that's what, in my mind, a mastermind type office should be like.
Nice. You're messaging all your agents at 5:30 in the morning when you're working out.
5:30 on the way to Barry's boot camp. I think some of them really hate that.
Jacked up and pre-workout.
Get my little C4 in, my little pre-workout, drive into the gym. Hey guys, they're like,
you guys what's going on?
Nick, go back to bed. But that's I think that is the responsibility of any owner of a company. The bigger we've gotten, the more I'm like, okay, well, what are some of these really big company owners doing in every industry to stay in touch with their agents, to stay in communication, so you understand where we're coming from. I'll share with you what I said to the agents this morning. I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, a little hungover from the sales awards last night. Let's not lie. Had a closing at 9. I'm like, all right, I'm driving to my closing. I'm like, all right, this is what I want to say to these guys. We had a great first quarter. We know what our numbers are going to be. They're record first quarter. A lot of these agents had record first 3 months of the year. I didn't feel it was quite as good as it could have been. And what part of the reason why is I had a 90-day challenge for them. And I said, guys, we're going to fill out this form that I call the Greatness Tracker. And it's going to track your activity every day. And at the beginning, we're going to do it. It's going to be amazing, blah, blah, blah. And guess what? I said, I'll fill it out with you. And I'm sitting there going, I kind of didn't fill it out every day either. I come back to it, but we needed to do it better. So I said, okay, here's the deal, guys. You had a record first quarter. We're not even done yet, but I'm going to give you a little round of applause, but we could do more. We could do better. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back to Brian Buffini. We're going to go back to the particular program that says, here's what you're going to do for 2 hours a day. And we want to track it. And we want to share it with everybody else in here. You come in here early in the morning, and you do it, and you get it done, and we celebrate you. Right. So I think that sometimes you've got to just realize that, even if you made your numbers, did it feel good? Did it feel, or was it stressful? And I think I'm talking to agents from all the brands right now, and they're like, the numbers are great. The deals are hard. This has been a good year in real estate, but I'm seeing bags under eyes and seeing people, oh my God, this deal, that deal, this fell apart, this blew up. It's been a stressful year. So we're making money, but we want to make sure that the quality of life is good and that people are building a business that's going to sustain.
Okay, before we go into the questions, hold on. In your opinion, how's the market doing right now? What's your thoughts on that? Are you seeing a lot of showings and not a lot of sales, or are things kind of just flying off? Or?
Well, this is a live broadcast, but I'm going to be transparent and keep it real for you. If you said to me, how does my personal business look? Oh, great. Inventory is low. Things are flying off the shelf. Here's the reality, though. This is not just a lakefront conversation. There are some neighborhoods in Chicago that are doing wonderful. As you pull out to other neighborhoods, the farther suburbs, things like that, there is some inventory, and not all of it's moving. I had a conversation with somebody from Lake Forest the other day, and oh my gosh, they're like, it is rough. There are a lot of big houses just sitting there because a lot of movement has come back downtown. The big companies are coming downtown, the executives are back downtown, and here's this glut of houses. So if you go in the lakefront communities along the red line, everything's great. Inventory is super low. So my agents need to be knocking on doors and getting to know their neighbors, saying, hey, you know what? You may want to check and see if this is a good time to sell. Prices are up, inventory is down. but that is not a universal conversation, so that I think there's some areas that still need some love, that there's going to be some opportunities for people to come in and do some rehabs and flips. I'm seeing some beautiful stuff go on, Evanston, Skokie, places like that, where some of these older tri-level homes are being reimagined. I'm like, oh my God, this is beautiful. This feels like new construction once you get inside it, because prices aren't quite as appreciating the same way that they are in some other neighborhoods, and there's some opportunities there. So, talk to your agent and figure out what areas you want to go in.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, we're going to get into the question round. This is about 30-second answers, and then...
Is there a quiz?
This is a quiz part of it.
All right, remember, sales awards were last night. I'm not 100% yet. This coffee's still kicking in.
To what do you attribute your success?
Business planning and vision. Business planning and long-term vision. And the ability to overcome obstacles.
How do you stay motivated?
Long-term vision. Long-term vision, and also remembering the people that told me I couldn't do it. Got some nice haters out there, I think. Hi, guys.
If you don't have haters, you're not doing anything.
Exactly.
If you had one piece of advice to someone just starting out, what would it be?
Find a good mentor and just don't give up. Keep going.
What do you wish you knew before you started?
That it was going to be on me to do my own thing. It's not going to be on somebody else or a company.
You found that out pretty quick, though, no?
Yeah, but I mean, to remember that as you go through things too. Yeah.
Right.
What was the worst piece of advice that you ever got?
Oh my God! So there will be someone out here that hates me for this. Do not buy the jewel shopping carts. That was, I think anything that's big and flashy.
Wait, what?
Do not buy the jewel shopping carts as a real estate agent. Have you ever seen
like
that where the ads?
Oh.
And that I say that in jest, but I did spend, I think, $2,000, and the only call was a friend of mine going, "You look ridiculous." I think in general, there's this idea of the next big shiny, I want my name on a bus bench. Well, have you ever seen someone write down, or, now on their phone, oh my God, that's a great bus bench picture. What are you going to be possibly able to say to somebody on a billboard? I've had billboards, I've had bus benches, I've had full page magazine ads. And I got to tell you, just going around to an alumni event at my fraternity or, something from school or a birthday party and saying, "Hi, how you doing?" It has gotten me a lot more business than these stupid ads with my orange face on them. So that's, I think, avoiding always grabbing for the next shiny object. I think we have that syndrome.
With the advice was not to do that, or
don't do that. Yeah, so don't grab for the shiny object.
But that was a good thing to do, you're saying?
No. The jewel shopping carts never got me anything.
It was funny
except
because
a bill.
Ryan G just came out with a huge billboard.
I know that's the thing is that I think that when you are building a new business. Yeah. And I had the Exit billboards. I still kind of like them. They're cool. They didn't get me business. I think they validate you when you're building a new brand. At this point, I want signs in the yards. I don't want a billboard. I want more signs in the yards, which means I need to have my butt in a chair coaching my agents how to get more listings. That's the reality, I think, at this point.
Gunderson had those Mariano's shopping carts last month, too.
You know what? It's so funny because there's a guy that I know in the business that's sitting there at Mariano's and like, there's $2,000 down the drain. But we all go through that. And I can guarantee you that I'll do something dumb with, I'll sign up for something dumb again. It's the nature of the beast.
Did you have a business idea before real estate?
All right. Well, yeah, he said you had the.
I had my lawn mowing business and I had a deck sealing business. So I've always liked the idea of working for myself, but real estate came so early on. It was just when I was in high school. I'm like, okay, you get your sign on you get your name on a sign. Yeah. You got a big car. Little did I know.
What living or dead person other than family members do you most admire?
Oh my gosh. Well, you want to go way back in history. Abraham Lincoln, I think somebody that was, a leader like that tried to keep a country together and then bring it back together. In real estate, there's a couple different people in real estate. I would really like to meet Edie Holiday. Or Abby Holiday, the lady that owned that huge brokerage down in Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, and then Barbara Corcoran. I think that lady's amazing. Shark Tank.
Yeah.
Just amazing. I would love to meet her. So I know she's got a coaching program. You can pay to another shiny object. You can pay to get into it and then hang out with her. I'm not writing that $20,000 check, but I think that's the type of person that you're like, okay, what was in her mind? Mm-hmm. What did she do?
Have you read her book?
Actually, I've not. It's on my list. I bought it. It's on the stack that continues to grow. I'm in the on the John Maxwell books right now. Failing Forward is the one that we just next week is our first session with that at our office here.
Are you doing like a book a month?
We do a book a month. Some months it goes down to 3 weeks because it's a shorter book. Other times it's like 6 weeks. One of the best books I've read for real estate is The Roadmap to a Profitable $30 Million Real Estate Business. Okay. The Roadmap to a Profitable $30 Million Real Estate Business. I read that 2 years ago, I think, for the first time. And I'm like, whoa, it was like a game changer for me. It was really, really a good book. Rita Casey, Rita Reeta Casey, Casey was the author. Just fantastic. Out. Yeah.
We'll put it in the show notes. Yeah.
Link it up.
Do you have a favorite failure? Is there one that set you up for future success?
Besides the shopping carts. There's going to be somebody that's like sells those things. They're going to come and find me and punch me in the face. I think the best failure that I had was, most recently was these flip properties, was taking my eye off the ball, thinking somebody else was going to do it for me, and not realizing that what works in one business, that discipline had to be transferred over to a new business. I don't know why I didn't realize that going into it, but taking my eye off the ball. And sometimes realizing that, you can't be in 100 businesses at once. Right. I had all kinds of ideas at one point to be a one-stop shop, open a mortgage company, insurance company. There's that old saying, you can be a jack of all trades and a master of none. So that has kind of honed me back into, okay, I've got a few core things I'm good at. I'm going to stick to those. And everything else, maybe there's somebody else that should do that.
Okay.
What is your best hiring tip or secret?
I learned this from somebody else that was a wonderful agent for us. He came up with it and he said, describe your greatest success. And that if somebody sitting in that chair cannot describe one win or one success in their life, that's probably not someone you want on your team. So it's an interesting hiring technique.
Why would that be? They just can't.
If they can't say one thing that they've done right or that they're proud of, they're looking for you to create the win for them. And that may not be the best fit. You can mold someone, but they still have to do the activity. Right. And especially in real estate brokerage and real estate sales, they have to get up in the morning. They have to pick up that phone and that email and build their business.
Yeah, because it's not a job. They have to be like a go-getter. So then it's
if you can't describe for me one success, that's or if you sit there in the room for an hour and talk about yourself, I might have a problem to unplug their mic.
Have you ever turned down a client, and if so, why?
Yes. I've turned out, I go through a little bit of a conversation process. I'm a referral-based agent at this point. So, if you're a friend of a friend, we're probably going to get along because I've got a pretty amazing group of friends that send me business. I try to send them business, and we, collaborate. Some of the online leads I've gotten are not always serious. There's a lot of people, I've got a proof of funds, but I'm not going to show it to you. Or, I have no idea what area I want to invest in. That type of stuff. Or, I'm not really sure if I want to rent or buy. Let's talk about it. And if you still are on the fence, or this is a 6 month or a year from now thing, I'm going to educate you. I'm going to set you up on a search. I'm going to, help you out. But I'm not going to sit there and drive you around for days at a time and waste my gas and your time.
Showing 50 properties.
50 properties when you're not ready yet. So I will definitely interview a client and decide if we're a good fit.
If you got the chance to start over, what would you do differently?
What would I do differently? Well, first of all, I would have respected my database a lot earlier. I would have absolutely respected my database and kept in better touch with people. This is a relationship game, plain and simple. Social media is not it's a great thing, but it's a crutch. Still doesn't replace personal one-on-one time with people. Realizing that a happy birthday on social media is not a personal note. It's not a hug. It's not a cupcake that you hand delivered to their door. I wish I'd known that a lot earlier. And I wish also that I had, when I built my team, that I did not kind of give away too much of the responsibility. So now I still negotiate every deal myself. For a long time, I gave that away. Now, these clients chose you as the team leader. You need to have some role in that deal and some ownership in that deal. And for me, that negotiation is the big part.
When you're having a bad day, what do you do to make yourself feel better?
Well, I have had a lot less bad days since, I started getting up earlier, working out early, getting a checklist of things done during the day. There's going to be some really just home run bad days. There's some really special people out there in the world, and sometimes you're the special person. I found a really good group of friends over the years that I like spending time with them. I like kind of getting away from, I don't want to talk real estate all day and night. Other people find a good group of people that are entrepreneurial, that are driven, that want more out of life, that can sit there and draw a vision board for you. They can sit there and they have a vision board, or they have something in their mind they want. So, I get away for a weekend at a time. I don't like long vacations, but, I love a weekend away just to kind of decompress. I'm still thinking about work. I carry myself with me. But, to get out of this particular box and get into something else and see how other people live around the world and travel, that's awesome. And I like to do that on long weekends. So that's one way.
What is one thing you find to be true that most people would disagree with?
Getting up early is the key to success. One other thing too is that there's going to be an easy way. Is that everybody's always like, well, aren't you done yet? Aren't you tired?
Right.
No, because guess what? There is somebody right down the street, literally and figuratively, coming up with a better mousetrap. So, if you want to, work a little bit less hard, you probably should think about making less money, because that's what's going to happen.
What is a piece of advice that you received recently that you still follow?
Recently? Actually, Ryan told me, he goes, show up to your damn project, show up to your location, know what the heck's going on, educate yourself. He's like, my God, you're like sleeping at the wheel. You're not even at the wheel. And, that was, I show up to this office every day. I am here, my butt's in the chair. Why would you not be in the chair at your other business?
For those of you who don't know who Ryan G is, it's Ryan Garzellano.
Garzellano.
What did I say?
Garzellano.
I was going to call him Ryan G so he can pay me.
That's
to
why
say
you
his
call
full
him G,
name.
you don't know. But he's on episode like 9 or something like that. 10?
No, one of those.
Yeah, so check it out. That one's good. He was a GC, and now he advises investors on how to manage GCs for projects. What do we got? What habits helped make you successful?
I don't want to go back to the getting up early in the morning. A couple different things. Number one, having really good technology around me. I think having really good technology around me, the ability to work from anywhere, also allows you to turn off that phone at some point. The ability to work from anywhere. So that, I think, number one. And then number two, quite frankly, going broke. I've run out of money more than once, and I got to tell you, nothing scares you back to the table in terms of wanting to work hard than running out of money. I've done it several times. It has scared the living daylights out of me. Going broke is not cute on anybody.
No. Did you ever read Damon John's book, The Power of Broke?
No, but I've heard of it. I mean, I think I could do the rewrite from my 2009 and 10. We call them the dark days, but no. But I'll tell you, like that. Some people know the story that follow me on social media and that we interact. My car broke down on the Webster Street Bridge back in, I think, 2010. Right before the market crashed, I bought this brand new 7 Series BMW with $1,000 a month payment, like every other idiot realtor that was out there. No savings. Everybody's running around going from broker open to broker open, partying. They thought it was amazing. Market crashed, and we're all like, oh God. And so I ended up, having to trade my car in, bought this old green Jaguar cash. And I'm like, all right, well, at least it says Jaguar on it, 8 billion miles, somebody had smoked in there before, it stank. And it was just, this is just bleak. And I'm driving the thing back from a showing, and it broke down on the Webster Street Bridge. And some nice character out there took a picture of it, posted it on Facebook, and tagged me in it. And I'm like, wow, this is wrong.
Wow.
And I remember walking back to get the car, and there's a tow truck and a police car behind it, because of course I had some tickets that I hadn't paid either. And I'm like, this is just, I can't live like this anymore. Like, I have got to change the way I'm running my business. And one of the things I figured out at that point is, I'm like, I'm not lead generating for 2 hours a day. I'm not respecting my database. But that was, the power broke, the power of that post, that car breaking down on that bridge. I'm like, I'm never getting back here again.
It's a great book. I mean, if anybody, we'll put a link on the show notes, but it essentially talks about when you're starting a business, you obviously don't have any money. So being broke entices you to try out, be more creative on your marketing, be more creative on how to get your business going, because you don't have money. Yeah. So you get good at word of mouth, networking, maybe knocking on doors that, you don't necessarily need money for that, right? You just need to take 2 hours a day and go knock on doors. So that's the whole premise of the book. It's very interesting.
And it actually goes over like 10 different people's like stories, like Steve Aoki and Rob Drydick, and then some other people, of like how like bootstrapping, like he says the Damon John says number one reason for businesses failing is like overfunding. Like it's better to bootstrap.
It's an interesting book.
Yeah. It's we just finished one in here called Make Your Bed. And that, it was an admiral that did a commencement speech. And, his conversation, you start out the day by making your bed, do one thing. Get out of bed and do one thing. And it's funny that too, you just said this guy was knocking on doors for 2 hours. There's 2 hours of lead generation. If you're not broke at some point, you don't ever have that panic of how it felt and how that you can go back there. And I've noticed that there's some people that you can just tell they've never struggled, and that's why they're never really going to hit a certain level. And I think other people, they get lazy. I got a little bit lazy in my business, and it kicked me, in the shin or someplace a little bit higher than that. And it was a good lesson for me to get back into the game and get back and focus on my business. So I'm going to have to read that book, The Power of Broke.
Yeah,
I like that.
Are you done with the questions?
Yeah, I know one more question though. When you went from being a broker to opening up your own brokerage, at what point, like, how did you decide that was the right time? And then when you actually did it, was it right on time, or did you feel like you did it too late or too early? Or
I have the worst timing in the world. So when I left Keller Williams for Exit in 2008 on my 30th birthday, and I said, I'm so burned out on management. I'd owned my own company. I'd managed that huge Keller office that I'd grown. I'm like, I am tired. I just want to go back to sales. I love sales. So I get over here to Exit. The first office I was with, it was a wonderful little office. The market crashed and, just was obviously having financial problems. So I'm like, well, I'm going to move offices then. So then I moved to a different Exit office. That one started having problems. And it was like, there's C21s closing down. There's a Remax that disappeared overnight. I'm like, this industry is going for a toilet. I'm like, my God. But I really loved Exit. I'm like, I'm getting these residual checks, and I'm getting calls. Oh, come be a manager here, be a manager there. We'll give you a salary. I'm like, well, I don't think you're going to be open in 6 months either. We're all going down together. And I said, I'm going to stay at Exit. I love this company. And Craig Witt, he's president of Exit in U.S. And at that point, he was our regional president. He came in to meet me, and I'm like, I think I had to have him buy this. I still had the green Jaguar at this point. This is the beginning of the green Jaguar, the dark days. And he came in. I think he had to buy me lunch, and I'm going, there's no way this guy's gonna let me take over this office. But the office was failing, and he goes, you know what? Do you have the money to do this? I'm like, yes. No. Yes, I do. And it was October of 2009. So if that is just who would open or take over a real estate brokerage at that point, and I'm just like, the world is going to crap. And so we signed the paperwork, and there I was with 8 agents, myself and my good friend that had come over with me to Exit, and then 4 of the 8 agents we're going to walk out the door or quit the industry. I'm like, okay, we're just going to have to go from zero. And so it was not the right time, but it was the time I was presented the opportunity. And I think a lot of the people that I know, people working out of their garage when they start these now, global companies, what was the right time? The people that wait for the right time probably are still waiting. They're going to wait till they die. Yeah. So was it the right time? No. Were there some really awful moments? One of my favorite stories about that era was, I was behind on the electric bill for the office and my house. And I'm going, oh my God, I'm like, one or the other is going to go off. And I'm like, well, more people at this point, because no one wants to come over to my house. It's not fun to be with me right now. I'm going to pay the office electric bill. And I had the opportunity to be on HGTV. And I went home to, go shower and get ready for this HGTV opportunity. And I flicked on the light and there was no power. Oh, shit. And I'm like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. So I showered. I still had water. Showered, and I did my blow-dried my hair in the hallway of my condo building. And my neighbor comes down and says, what the hell's wrong with this guy? This guy's crazy. And that was another point where I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So I'll always take those terrible times with me, because that's what gets me out of bed in the morning. People that, know my social media or on my Instagram, they're like, oh, screw you, you're up at sunrise again. And I'm like, you know what? I'm up at sunrise. Is that there may not be power someday. You're always going to remember those times. And now that I'm doing well, it still continues to fuel me. I'm like, anybody can do anything. If my dumb butt can do this, you can darn well do a lot more with what you're given.
It's like, seize opportunity and don't let excuses or lack of money hold you back.
Perfect note to end on. Yeah. Where can people get a hold of you? How can people find you and Exit on social media?
It's my hashtag is everywhere. My screen name is @Nick Libert, so it's NICKLIB as in boy, ERT. Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, all that good stuff.
Because you do a show too, right? Like on Facebook.
So I've got a Facebook Live I do every Wednesday at noon. It's called Lunch with Libert. Every week it's a different topic. Sometimes it's for real estate agents. Sometimes it's for the general public. Sometimes it's for investors. So we just kind of go back and forth. But yeah, interact with me on there. I love to talk to new people, learn what you've done right, what you maybe have made some mistakes on too. And as you guys can see over the last hour, I'm very transparent. And I like to tell everybody what is working as well as the interesting times too.
Awesome.
Nice. Awesome.
All right. Thank you, man. Really appreciate you giving us your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for what you guys are doing for the industry. So,
thanks.
thank you.
Till next time, everybody.